Alrighty, we're rolling, sir.
You have a single pipe coming from the water furnace out to right about in here somewhere, and there was a junction box kind of thing.
That's what they were telling me about. There's some kind of manifold that everything hooks into.
Right, and it hooks into the manifold, and that's where it splits out to the six pipes that are buried out here. There's 3 buried at 4.5 feet, and then 3 more buried at 6 foot. It makes a big loop out and about, and then return loop back.
Okay.
And the manifold for it was somewhere right in this area. It might have been right about where the wheel is here on this cart, or something like that.
Okay.
So, now, Deanne thought that it might be when you put these posts down that it might have damaged it, but I don't think they were over that far.
No, I mean being in the center of the...
Yeah, as I recall, it's the center of the doorway here.
Okay.
That's how they were measuring it. At the very most, it might have been over toward the edge of the concrete, but I don't think it was over this far.
Okay.
Because I'm remembering it, it's out here. So.
But there's 3 out and 3 back to that manifold.
Yeah.
But they're just stacked up.
Yeah, what it is you know, where this is, you've got the pipe coming out of the house and you've got the manifold here. Then there's 3 laying parallel, is what it is. And then it goes, and there's 3 below it that comes back to it too. One's, it just takes the moisture, the fluid out and brings it back, the ethanol. Ethanol?
Yeah, it was ethanol in there, a form of alcohol, yeah.
Yep. So.
But do you remember how far out that went before it started going?
That's where we're going to take a walk. That's where we're going to take a walk. That was, the pipes went out there. Then we go way out to here. We go straight out. Now if you come here and shoot this way, see you got a little bit of a dip right in there. Okay. We'll walk out to it now, in a minute, but I'll show you. We got a little bit of a dip, and I'm pretty sure the pipes run right through here because you can see the trench. They didn't go all the way up to the fence. And
I have some pictures of it running along the back fence here. It looked like where they were digging and filling it in with sand, but I didn't know how it came up from the house.
Straight like this and over like this.
Okay. Because it shows him on this fence line.
Out, right up against the fence line?
Well, back probably
a ways?
5-6 foot, I would think.
Okay.
Maybe farther, maybe farther.
Too, but I was thinking, for a while there was kind of a little swale here, and you can still see a little bit of a dip right there.
Okay.
And that's where some of the pipe was. I thought it was more like 10 foot.
It might be, Joe. The way it looked in there, you know, with no growth around, it's hard to.
Did Deanne find some more pictures of it, or is it?
These are ones I was looking through the other night, and I saw.
Okay. They were in a packet, or
there was a guy in there. Well, yeah, they were in a packet. There was a guy. He looked like he was just putting sand on top before they backfilled over the whole thing.
Okay. Along
this area right through here.
Yeah, because that's what they wanted to do, is avoid getting any air pockets against the pipe, because air pockets don't transfer heat.
Okay.
So that's why you're putting some sand down against it to make sure it had a good radiation of the heat and everything. Let's take a walk down this way. I want to walk down to your barn here and just see if I can remember where it took off.
Because the people say that this usually doesn't leak out here.
Yeah.
It usually leaks at the manifold or a connection.
If you look right here, this is the low spot through here. Yep. I'm pretty sure the pipes run right here.
Right here?
I mean, I'd be about 95% sure.
Okay.
You know, so.
Try to put this in perspective here.
But just because this is the lower spot and they didn't really, it started to settle sometimes.
Okay.
So I'm thinking this is one of your lower spots right here where the pipes are.
Okay.
When did you put the posts in for the deck?
That was
Was that this year or last?
I think it was 3 years ago.
Oh, well then.
2 years. 2 years
I
ago.
thought that might be what caused it. And I thought,
well,
it would have leaked out before then, so.
We would have thought of that. Yeah, I thought that too, and I thought, because they had quite a mess in there when they were doing that, but they actually put posts just about back in the same spot. They pulled some out, just bigger ones. So.
Well, that's a good one. So. a low spot through here.
Yep.
Now, somewhere in here, I'm thinking that's where we made the turn to go this way. How far down did you put the augers for this?
Oh, those are only about 2.5 foot.
Oh, okay, it should be. Somewhere in here, and again, we've got another low spot here, but I'm not sure this is it. Right somewhere in this area is where we made the turn to go this way, and it did go this way another couple hundred feet or so.
Okay.
Toward the road. So oh yeah. You still have a little swale there, low spot right through here. And I'm thinking this is probably pretty much where it came. See, the edge of your carport is almost on it. It might be, it might be on it for all rent, you know.
Okay.
So.
Well, we wondered about that too, but we had the problem before we put the anchors for the carport down. We just put the anchors down a month ago. We were having problems before that. So.
Okay, so they found out there wasn't any pressure in the line before you put the anchors down.
No, after, but we were having a problem before that.
Okay.
We were having the problem before that, so.
Okay. And it's going to come out somewhere. You know, I'm not sure how far this comes out this way now because I don't really remember. He was saying to the garden, and I was thinking the garden was farther out when I talked to that Applegate guy.
Okay.
So it might go out here, even out to the edge, the back end of the garden. It came out here quite a ways.
Oh, then it came back around and up.
Nope, actually what it did, 3 pipes came out.
Oh, then they went right back the same way.
And then they bent it back at 6 foot. They bent it back up and they took it back at 4.5 feet.
Oh, okay, so everything's in that one trench.
One trench, yes.
Okay.
Everything's in the one trench.
I was thinking they made a complete loop around with it, but...
No, well, it's a loop around in here, but
yeah, but it's in the same hole, just a different level. Okay.
In the same manifold. Now, I remember just one pipe coming out down at the sliding glass door. It could have been 2 above and over, just to make the full loop. I'm thinking it could be.
Well, it'd have to be to get back to the pump, yeah.
Right, to get back to the pump. But
see, that's what I was trying to find, the coming out and the going back, without tearing cement up.
Well, I think you're going to be tearing cement up.
Because he said it was very important that we found that manifold. Well, if the manifold's under cement...
yeah.
But then again,
they were talking about building a box. He said something to me about, well, there's a box for it somewhere out there. And I'm thinking, no, there wasn't a box. They just poured dirt on top of it. So,
okay.
Because it's really something they don't have to get to that often, I don't think.
But, well, that's what he said. He said, but most of your problems will always be probably in that manifold. So, yeah, and, they're talking a whole new system. I thought, well, if I could find the coming out and the going back, I can pressure test that. And not tear up the whole yard to do this again. So.
Yep, and you don't really want to. What I would think is, rather than tear everything up, I would price out going with the deep well option, and just going out to the front of the house and putting in a new system in that way, rather than try and dig up everything and tear it up.
Well, that's what you mentioned, the 2-well system or something like that. Put a well down and pump out and pump back in. Is that what it is?
There's a picture of it in the water furnace booklet that's in your guide in there. It shows the different options. There's a pond loop system, which you can't use here. Then you have the field system, and there's also the well system, where instead of digging a trench, they just dig a well and put the pipe way down deep and come back up with it. So, and that way it'd be more cost effective for you than trying to dig up everything and redo your concrete.
Well, that's what I thought. It was simple.
Yeah.
And they could, come out next to that, tie into it with a new manifold. If I could find all 6 hoses, I'll put a new manifold on that and try it, pressurize it.
Sure. And you maybe just be digging up your concrete section that's closest to the house, rather than have to tear everything out. So, because I remember it wasn't that far off from the house where it was, and I'm surprised they don't have a picture of it. If you found the pictures where they were...
I believe I saw a picture of it one time. Because it was like a black box or a black... I can't even explain what it looked like, but I think I saw a picture of it.
And I can't remember that either, so... But
I can remember that. She was showing me pictures of the house when you guys were building it, and I thought I remembered that, but I can't find the picture now, so I don't know where.
There's about 20 rolls of pictures up there, and they were all duplicates too, by the way, when we took them.
I see that.
For $1 more, you could get a duplicate picture.
Yep.
So if you look through all those folders in there, you'll probably find them.
Okay.
And if you find ones you don't want, just don't throw them out. You can put them in a box. Give them to Sarah. She gives them to me. And
now,
let me just go up here and talk septic tanks for a
yeah, so I was going to ask you the septic tank situation because I wasn't sure. That she said there's 3 of them.
Yep. You have 3 of them, 3,000 gallon tanks.
That's a little.
Each one's 1,000 gallons. And this whole mound here is a sand filter system. I found this schematic for it.
Yeah.
And I wrote on it for that because that's going to be essential if you ever have to do anything.
Exactly.
When we did this, we over-engineered the whole septic system.
If you got 3,000 gallons in a mound, yeah.
Hmm?
If you got 3 tanks in a mound like that, I think so.
They said the soil wasn't going to perk, and
back then, yeah.
wanted a sand filter, and the sand filter was experimental, and I just kind of said, oh man.
I remember my dad had a few lots at the lake he worked at, and God, he paid. The guy gave him the lots. They were waterfront lots, and because he couldn't sell them, he couldn't get them to perk. And Dad paid engineers down here. I think it was over $10,000 for a plan, just the plan, to get it to perk, and.
We did the
it never did. He gave lots away, but he lost 10 grand on the deal, you know.
I know. We had the same thing going on here, so you know. First of all, I showed her this is the power box and the test for the pump.
Okay.
Underneath the manhole cover here, there's a pump which takes things from the 3rd tank and pumps it out to the field system, takes the water, the affluent out.
So it goes through the 1st tank, 2nd tank, then this pumps it to the drain field, the 3rd tank.
Yep, and there's a test button on it.
Okay.
So if you ever come out and see the red light on or hear the buzzer, you know, that means your pump's failed down here. It's gotten up beyond the pressure point. Now inside this box, and I've never looked to see if it's in there or not, there's supposed to be a map that the guy who buried the tanks put in there. And what he did is he measured off the corner of the house. So you've actually got 3 tanks. One is there underneath that.
Okay.
One's somewhere right about here, and one is over here more.
Okay. So they're lined up right there next to the sidewalk, basically. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. They're right next to each other too, is what they are. And what happens is all the sewage goes from the house into this tank. So this tank would be your one that's going to be the most waste in it. The water then goes to the 2nd tank. And one of the design flaws of that is that there's a pipe that goes over to the 3rd tank, and there's also a basket in there, which was supposed to catch any like toilet paper or any solid waste, so it doesn't go into the 3rd tank. You know? The only trouble is that if we're cleaning out here, you get the basket, pull the basket out, close it off with a garden hose, and then put it back down there.
Yeah.
So I don't know where, if you ever start getting back up, that would be the first thing is check this tank out. And then from there, it's mostly water going into this tank, and when it gets up to a level, it gets pumped out to the field system.
Okay.
But we did that to get all the effluent, so it dropped in the 1st tank, into the 2nd tank, and then go into the 3rd before it got out to the field system. So the field system should last a really long time, plus it's an oversized field system to begin with. So.
Now, did they recommend to pump the septic tanks out at any time?
You should probably pump them out. And again, it's been 16 years. So.
That's what I'm wondering. You know, I know my last house I waited like 12 years before I did it, and it was still okay, but he wanted to do it every 3 years, which I agree with him, I guess.
Yeah, they say that too. And the one thing I would suggest is if you do pump this one out, is maybe buy a cover and one in the plastic tube to put here so you can get that basket.
Oh, okay.
Because I think depending on what happens, if you pump it out and you see that basket's already full and it's not doing anything, that would be a good thing. If the basket doesn't really have much of anything in it because it's all dropped into the 2 tanks before it got there, that would be a good thing. I think that's on those blueprints how the tanks were all lined up.
Okay. Okay, that's great.
But I remember they're fairly close. I mean, there's maybe 6 foot apart from them.